Welcome to the third and final muzzle flash video. This is Joe Freeland of Cohort 16 using the May 2011 version of UDK on June 5th. Now for the last particle we're going to add to the muzzle flash, we're going to add a spark of like metal brushing against metal. So in the content browser we have our spark material, then go back into particle, right click in empty space and a new emitter. Now I've been giving you pretty much for the most part random numbers to you guys in these tutorials, and at some points I've tried to explain why we were putting in numbers like, oh, we want to follow this certain way or we want it to head in this direction, but a lot of this is guessing to check until you get the desired effect you're looking for. So don't feel like you have to go by these numbers. I had a completely different lighting texture until I messed with the settings and got a completely different effect. I'm like, hey, I like that a whole lot better than what I was doing, and that ended up being the lightning you saw. So this is definitely something where you can just experiment and see what you get. But to finish off with the spark required, keep it square and check the local space and legacy emitter. Something's up with the material. Oh, it's still in opaque, and it's just that to I didn't set up opacity. And okay. Save as. Do. Okay, now we got the sparks falling like we want, but that's a lot more sparks than we need. So spawn, we only want one spark coming out. And we won't want it coming out of the top, that's later. This is another burst we want coming out at the end of the gun. So expand 0, count to 2, so we get 2 sparks. Count low becomes 1, and leave time. Lifetime becomes 0.25 for both, so a quarter of a second. That's about right for a spark. Initial size for X is about right, 23. But again, X and Y is supposed to be coming out of the front of the gun, not the top or side. So change those to 0. And minimum X becomes 20. Then velocity, 50 on X maximum, 20 for X minimum, and 0 for the Y's and Z's. Now we got it coming out the front of the gun. Change color over life to initial color. In location, again, this is where it appears in relation to the emitter, and we use the standard 2, -2. This is keeping it still tight, still in the same little area, but some variance. Just like how we have it set up to fly off in slightly different directions. And then finally, size by life. And again, size by life at each point, 0 being the beginning, and then whatever your last number being the end. It just changes the size based off of what you put in at that point. So it can get smaller as it fades away, or gets bigger as it grows. For N0, -0.1, X 0.8, 0, and then 6, No, 0 for Z. In value, we're going on to the next point. In value, 0.6. Out value, 1.6 for X, 0 for Y, and 2.5 for Z. The X for both the arrive and leave tangent will be negative 0.2. Again, not making X or Y anything other than 0. Then for the last, shoot, forgot to add the point. Zero is still the same, but now everything I just put in for 1 is in 2. And this is what I've been saying, make sure you add points before you put in numbers. In value for 2 is supposed to be 1.5 for X going out, then 0, 0. Now we enter negative 0.1 for N1, going in for 1. Going out for X is 1.6. That's a 0. 2.5 comes out. And then for the tangents on the X, negative 0.2 and negative 0.2. The last thing we need to finish off this particle, lock on XYZ. Once again, gives it that focuses it in. We have the particle, and I took the liberty of adding a gun. The spark keeps coming, so that must mean I forgot to add the 1 loop. Now let's get this as close to the gun barrel as possible and play it. That's a little low. Still low. And that's about good. And there you have your muzzle burst. Go back into content browser, find your package, right click to save, and make sure you save it in the right place. And that's the end of this tutorial.